All right, I put up your final exam requirements about 10 minutes ago. Um, I'm showing what they are. Okay, here they are. They are literally under a module called Final Exam down here at the bottom. Final Exam. We're going to walk through them so you know exactly what I want you to do, so there's no questions. Okay. And that's too damn small. And so let's see if I can't copy it out of here, maybe. Download. Let's see, download. There we go. Now we can see it. All right. Put your answers in the Dropbox, like it says there. Like I say, this is really the first time the class has been taught. We actually did some sort of projects on it, and it's a different book and everything. So, like I say here, unlike classes like forensics that have been around for a long time, we're really lacking on projects. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. But giving me 4 additional classes kind of didn't help either. Okay. So, I say here, the issue is being a new course, everything must be created from scratch, especially with a new book. Okay. What I want is some new projects. So I'm letting you guys come up with some potential projects, and you're going to use those as your exam. I'll explain how this is all going to work. Okay? I put the textbook for this course, the entire book, right there. Okay? So the entire book's there. You can read it. You can go to every chapter. You can get ideas from it. And at the end of every... Let me download the damn thing. Download... Okay. At the end of each chapter, let's zoom over here to one of them. Just pick a random chapter. If you go to the end of each chapter, you will see key terms and concepts. What I'd like you to do is come up with an idea for a project based on some concept in a chapter. Okay? So far, so good? Everybody kind of got an idea where we're at with this? Okay. Now let me finish reading this. Okay. So I'm looking for input on new projects. Review the textbook, which I just showed you where it is. That's the entire book. I want you to propose 4 projects based on different areas of the textbook. Okay. I would recommend reviewing the key concepts in the terms just like I showed you at the end of each chapter. You don't have to get it from there, but that's probably the best area to get an idea from. I said, think of a way a project could be made around that. Any chapter can be used, doesn't necessarily have to be just the ones we covered. So there's a few in the middle. Because what's happening is wireless and mobile device security being combined. So really, any chapter would suffice for a project. Okay? You are to propose a total of 4 projects. Okay? So you get 25% for each. So if you got 2 great ones and 2 really sucky ones, you might get a 50. That's how it's going to work. Okay? They need to be in sufficient detail so that I could possibly use them as an actual project. Okay? You can, but do not have to actually create the project. It's more of just a proposal. I just need you to put some thought into it and say, hey, maybe something along these lines. Okay? So come up with a project. Could be created based on your idea. Think of it like a blueprint. You're not actually building the project or building the house. You're just coming up with an idea for it, maybe a design for one. Just think of something that you could possibly do. Okay. If you actually do come up with a project, can actually create it, I'll give you extra credit. Okay. Because believe it or not, projects take quite a bit of time to make a decent one. So forensics I've been teaching since 2005. I have plenty of projects, but even this semester I'm changing them, and it still takes me hours. Is anyone in forensics this semester? Okay. I did finish the PRTK, by the way. I think I sent you all an email this morning. Yeah, I found the corrupt file that was causing my system to go all kinds of haywire. Deleted that. Now, yeah, it's totally done. I might add a couple more files, but right now those 8 are completed. They work fine. So it's amazing. Once I deleted that corrupt crap and reinstalled, it worked beautifully. So, all right. So you just come up with an idea. If you actually create it, that'll be great. But one thing I want you to keep in mind is grading. Okay, quizzes work great. You saw some of the stuff you guys submitted on quizzes, but there's issues with that, especially like the certificate number and stuff like that. There might be multiple different answers, stuff like that. But some things, like, for instance, this final exam would not be a good option for a quiz, because really, how could it be auto-graded? It couldn't. There's no way. Unless I just did essay, and, I mean, I could still do that. Then at least they'd all be submitted in one area. But essay, probably wouldn't be good for this. So each proposal needs to be detailed to show some thought was put into it. Okay? I'm going to give you an example. I said, example of each is below. Okay? All right, here's an example of what I do not want to see. Okay. I do not want you to tell me, Chapter 2, the topic DHCP, create a mobile device or connect a mobile device to a network, determine the IP address that has been assigned via DHCP, post a screenshot of it. That is not really anything. Okay, that's more of, I can show you something, but that's not a real project. There's no thought behind it. I really doubt the students would actually learn anything from it. Now, let's look at a project that's decent. Okay, Chapter 9, we covered Chapter 9 recently. And there was a topic in there, with fingerprinting. Don't use this one, by the way. Okay. Connect the mobile device to a wireless or cellular network. This is very similar to what you guys did, actually. To a cellular network, to use Wireshark or some other packet capture device to capture the traffic being generated by the device. Identify the manufacturer and any other information that can be determined by viewing the capture, kind of like you guys did. Include determining the manufacturer by examining the MAC address, which we saw how that works. Then I actually I said review these specific pages from sans.org, which is all about OS fingerprinting. It gets all the way into how TTL and ISN and ESN all work for developing. Just a brief insight into it. TTL is time to live. Okay? It's normally up to about 180. What that means is when a packet starts on the internet, it gets a number, and every time it goes through a router, that number is decremented until it reaches 0, then it's deleted. Prevents a rogue packet from just going around forever. Well, different operating systems like Linux start off at 64. Windows, I think, starts off at 128. So looking at different operating systems, you can actually determine, like if you were to look at an Android phone, all those packets starting from the device most likely start off at 64 because it's really a Linux-based system. Okay? So TTL is involved, ISN is involved, ESN, all this stuff's involved, and there's the RSC that pertain to it. So really, there would be some meat to that project. As a student, you would actually learn something by doing. Y'all kind of see what I'm looking for? This would be perfect. You didn't actually create one, but you gave me an idea. Hey, I could actually do this. I could take a device. I could, come up with something that's hands-on, something. And actually, when I created this morning, I'm like, damn, I should have done this, actually, because it would have been great. Because I had you guys look at it. We looked at the MAC address, but I never did really look into the TTL or ICN, stuff like that. So, so you know what I'm looking for? That one would be perfect. You get a perfect score on that one, 25%, because I could see, okay, it came out of the book, so I can relate to a specific chapter. I know what we're going to do. I added some external resources where people could look at stuff. And another reason I brought this up, is anyone in Bill Richards' Linux class? Okay, well, excellent guy. If you ever have to take Unix Linux, take it with him, unless you've already had it. He lives and breathes it. Okay, he literally knows everything there is to know about it. He was the head security guy, just retired, so really, really bright. And he came to see me yesterday. He's like, I asked some students what an RFC was. Do you guys know what an RFC is? Some of you probably don't. This is where I think we're lacking. It stands for Request for Comment. Anything on the internet starts off as an RFC. IP4 started as an RFC. IP6. What happens is people put a proposal forward called an RFC, Request for Comment, post it online at the IEEE and say, hey, I got an idea to do this. Everybody comments on it, and if it's good, sooner or later it's adopted into a standard. Well, his students are like, I've never heard of RFC, and some of you probably didn't. So I think we're actually lacking. We need to make sure that's covered, maybe more in the principles class or more in the beginning classes, because it is kind of important. I mean, okay, DHCP, DNS, where did that come from? Well, it's all related back to a specific RFC. So I'm trying to make it where, projects kind of relate to other stuff, so it reinforces learning. And even in forensics, I tell you to scan a Class C network. Some people are like, what the hell is a Class C network? You should have got that in Intro to Networks, but a lot of people forget it. So we're trying to, trying to make, you see this project actually makes them learn something. Okay? Okay, what we're doing here? I created this entire thing in about 10 minutes. So it's not a big deal. I just went on the internet, typed in OS fingerprinting, and I said, oh, wow, there's a great SANS article on it. I'll actually show it to you. It's really a good article. Come on. Let's open up. Okay. Really, really good article on OS fingerprinting. And it's short, and if you get down here into, I think it's page 5, I said, there's page 9, we're too far. Here's page 5, starts talking about the actual protocols work, and starts talking about TCP/IP, then starts talking about the TTL, and it mentions the different RFCs that are involved in it, and the header link. There's the TTL, and it even tells you in here how it works. So it's like, wow, that was actually real good information just off of doing a quick search on one of the topics that's covered in the book. Okay. So, and it goes into different things. There's the ISN. It talks about that, and it talks about some more of the RFC. So, it's really interesting. And as a student, you would hopefully gain something by doing this. Okay. I didn't include everything for the random number, but it goes on. So, be okay on what you're going to be doing. At least have an idea. Okay. You have until May 13th, which is 2 weeks from now, I guess, or so. Need 4 of them. Again, just, what I'm looking for. There are any questions on it? Okay. Easy enough. It kind of sucks for me because it's kind of like objective, which I don't really like grading objective stuff. But right here, you should have an idea of what I want. Okay. You don't have to quote external sources. You can actually quote the textbook. Hey, chapter 8, blah, 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 this specific word, they talk about this, so we're going to do something like that. That's fine as well, okay? But if you can, quote external sources, that's helpful as well, okay? So everybody happy? No one said a word. So either you're scared shitless or... okay. Shouldn't take you that long to get done. Look through a couple different chapters. I took a... intro to general psychology class here, and our final exam was list 10 things you learned in the class, and you can use the table of contents. So I'm like, okay, you're giving me the entire table of contents of the book, which has every topic listed, and I only have to tell you 10 things I learned. So I wrote about 40 things. And then it was funny because I think the teacher was Susan Scott. Right after that, there was a craft fair that me and Eileen happened to go to, and she was there. And Eileen was very upset because Eileen was close to an A, but ended up with a B, and there was absolutely no way I could get an A. Even if I got 100 on the final, I could not get an A. But I got an A. Eileen was pissed. She's like, how the hell did you get an A? I'm like, hell if I know. So we happened to go to the craft fair, and we saw the teacher there, and Eileen's like, how the hell did Ken get an A? She goes, oh my God, you should have seen his test. I asked for 10. He gave me like 40 of them. He went so above and beyond, I had no option but to give him extra credit. So I'm like, yeah, you told me the topics. So I'm literally telling you all the topics right here in the textbook. Create a couple extra. It wouldn't kill you. I mean, some of you were saying, oh my God, I need more. Well, there you go. Now you know how to get some extra credit. Now I'm not saying you're going to get 200%? No, but I'm always under the opinion when someone gives you a list of topics, you can pretty much make something off of every topic. DHCP would probably hard, unless you were like setting up a DHCP server or something, or I guess you could do with analyzing the 6 different, discover, offer, release, acknowledge. You could actually go into the different steps about how the device actually gets an address. I mean, you could go into something like that. But so anyone worried about, every one of you should at least get 100 on this. Okay, but if you're going to wait till May 13th at 5 p.m. to start, you're not going to do it. Because I'm not going to accept that stuff there.
So is our 10% still going to be added to our worst?
Not to the test.
No, to our worst grade.
Yes, I will. That's a very good point, because the people are saying, where are you going to add it? I mean, you guys can ask me or tell me where you want it, but normally I'll just stick it on whatever your lowest grade is. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah,
But I have had people in the past that, no, I want it here. I'm like, but that's not your lowest grade. Doesn't matter, I want it there. I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't cares? So, yeah, I've had that happen before. So if you want a specific place, just tell me. But you'll see in the grade book, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I actually have an area where once I do it, I'll tell you where I put it. So that way you'll know for sure it got added. All right? So easy enough on the final. I was going to come up with something you got to answer. I said, at least this way, it'll help me or whoever teaches the class come up with ideas. But I'm sorry to say, a lot of students are probably going to screw this up. They're not going to want to do it. I mean, it's not overly difficult. Pick a chapter, pick a topic, read what the book says about the topic, and come up with something. So, all right, everybody happy? All right, that's all we're doing for today. So I will post this recording. Then I actually have to get to a meeting, so you can get out of here.